Aman is a fourth-year criminology student at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. She formerly worked for the Solicitor General and is a consultant now. Aman has a passion for community safety and crime prevention and is actively involved as a Strata Council board member at her place of residence. She also partakes in the Neighborhood Community Block Watch program. This topic hits home as it impacts her daily living. Seth is also a fourth-year criminology student at KPU and works as a correctional officer at Surrey Pretrial Correctional Center. This is his last semester here. The topic hits home as Seth lives in a multi-unit strata building. Welcome to City Point. This is our neighborhood. We have two main resident towers, 21 and 25 stories high, with 452 contemporary homes. There is space for commercial businesses on the first floor featuring Waves Coffee Shop, a barber shop, pizza place, sushi, and corner grocery store, along with an underground public paid parking area on the first parkade level. There are 3 secure resident parking levels below it. This is a shared space between residents, commercial property, and the general public. City Point is a secure building with fob access for each floor through stairwells and the elevators, and an access code for visitors is required. It has a secure fenced in courtyard and grass area for pets to use in the back. This is a very sought after area as City Point is located adjacent to Gateway SkyTrain station, one stop from and walking distance to Surrey City Centre, Central City, SFU Surrey, a business office tower, the new Surrey City Hall, and 130 retail stores and services. This neighborhood has many sports fields and currently hosts the BC Lions practice field. Chuck Bailey Recreational Center is right across the street. City Point Towers are located in the heart of Surrey's Whalley neighborhood and is the largest leadership in energy and environmental design or LEED Silver certified residential project in BC. City Point is an amazing place to live, yet it is far from crime-free. According to Canada Crime Statistics, nonviolent property crime is higher than any other crime that is committed. As a result, nonviolent crime, this puts City Point, its residents, and community at risk of victimization. Property crimes such as break and enter, motor vehicle theft, theft of household property, and vandalism are a reality in this neighborhood. Surrey RCMP released a crime map mapping the incidences of crime in the Whalley area. Apart from the city center, the highlighted area around City Point has much higher crime incidences. This directly affects City Point. The theories discussed in this video project directly relate to the crime problem at City Point Towers. The neighborhood of Whalley is crime infested with increased levels of criminal activity. It is a high traffic area attracting criminal behaviors. The shared space takes away from a sense of territory. Lastly, the lack of outside aesthetics and upkeep encourage crime problems. We will apply these theories and provide viable solutions with a cost-benefit analysis. Each one of these theories speaks to the crime problems experienced at City Point.
According to Brandenham's crime pattern theory, proposes that crime and criminal behavior fits patterns that can be identified and understood when viewed in terms of where and when they occur. The key concepts to understand crime pattern theory are the environmental backcloth and the social crime template. Environmental backcloth refers to the social, economical, cultural, and physical conditions within which people operate. Social crime templates outline expectations of what will happen at certain times and places given certain behavior by the individual. Daily activity of individuals is one source of information used in learning the environmental backcloth and the templates. Individuals become offenders by creating mental maps of their environment as they move about the community. They recognize areas, they predict connections between objects, they evaluate the information gathered, and then they act upon it. These individuals become offenders by creating mental maps of locations which help reduce fear and uncertainty. As they build their knowledge of the community, such as going to work or shopping and daily routine behaviors, they can make informal, rational choices to commit crime. They have a script in mind before committing the crimes they do. Within the context of crime pattern theory, these locations or places can be considered nodes of activity, and the transit routes between the nodes are referred to as paths. These nodes relate to City Point's business area where people can purchase food and services, and therefore, City Point's location makes it a hotspot for criminal activity. The Gateway SkyTrain station acts as a path which offenders can transit quickly in and out of the neighborhood. In regards to crime pattern theory, we have many people traversing the neighborhood of City Point, which places it at risk of victimization. There are well over 500,000 people that travel via SkyTrain daily. The easy access contributes to criminal activity all along its path. City Point is at risk due to crime pattern theory concept of hunting grounds. Hunting grounds are referred to the nodes or hotspots where offenders recognize that potential victims frequent an area. There's a lack of guardians at that location, and consequently, the offender follows victims to this place. Specifically, City Point's first floor, the Parkade, is an area where crime perpetuates. It is an insecure area and accessible to the public. Crime to property, such as theft or auto theft, break and enter, property damage. Specifically, the fire extinguishers at City Point on the public access level have all been gone missing due to theft. Crime pattern theory directly relates to routine activities theory. When considering nodes, pathways, and hunting grounds at City Point, its location is its beauty, but as well as its demise. As per Marcus Felsen and Lawrence E. Cohen, routine activities theory is a subfield of crime opportunity theory that focuses on situations of crime. According to routine activities theory, 3 elements are needed for a crime to take place: a motivated offender with criminal intentions, abilities to execute, a victim or target such as residents or private properties, and the absence of viable security or guardians for the prevention of the crime. All 3 must come together at the exactly same time and place for the crime to happen. As a result of crime pattern theory and routine activities theory, crime is easily committed around City Point. Routine activities theory relates the pattern of offending to the everyday patterns of social interaction. Crime is therefore normal and is dependent on available opportunities to offend. It is opportunistic in nature. City Point has 2 distinct avenues where crime is experienced. These areas are from externally and internal forces that both have the possibility of resulting in crime. Externally, there are a lot of people transiting in and out and around the neighborhood. It's a very high traffic zone that creates a hotspot for crime and therefore relates to opportunities for motivated offenders to act. These motivated offenders could be those transiting in and out of the area or the community near City Point itself. As an example is the influx of homeless presence. They are constantly seen seeking shelter in the Parkade or collecting cans and bottles from the garbage room. There are also reports of car break-ins and suspicious activity. City Point is literally right across the street from one of 3 single resident occupancy modular housing in the Wally neighborhood. These eyesores are aesthetically the equivalents of medium security prisons. Screaming, shouting, and altercations can be heard at all hours of the day and even in the middle of the night. There's constant emergency or first responder presence, including but not limited to the police, ambulance, and fire. There is probable cause some of the crime may potentially be committed by those who live in low-income, socioeconomic housing and see City Point as a hunting ground. The first level Parkade is an easy access for the motivated offender. On the other hand, the crime problem is experienced and perpetuates from within internally. City Point has well over 80% of its units rented, opposed to owners living in them. This creates a unique problem within itself. Some of the crime problems within the building include, but not limited to, prostitution, active gang-related crime, drug units, and other criminal activity. Short-term housing like Airbnb creates a concern for high-traffic visitors who are not invested and take ownership of the property, therefore are willing to forego bylaws that are in place to prevent victimization. This leads to offenders invited, welcomed, or residing within the towers. As a result, inside jobs, opportunistic, or criminal activity happens with open access. These offenders who live in the building have had the opportunity to create mental cognitive maps of the surroundings, or the case of the place, to begin to understand the regular routines of the building, learn patterns and routines, and therefore can commit crimes in the building since they are motivated, there are suitable targets that exist, and in areas where there lack a capable guardian. Example of this break-in enters is the mailboxes in the mailroom. Though the room has security surveillance seen on it, it does not prevent criminals from breaking or committing inside jobs in hopes of obtaining sensitive information such as banking information leading to identity theft. These inside jobs can occur due to short-term transient individuals who 1. Commit the crimes themselves, and 2. Provide access for others to commit the crimes by being let in by their associates or letting in unauthorized individuals as they are just tenants and do not have the same care and concern as owners who reside in the building, and follow bylaws to keep all residents and tenants safe and free from victimization. Based on past history, City Point has even stopped Canada Post from delivering mail until an active police case was rectified regarding thieves breaking into the gang mailbox. This is an example of recurring criminal activity.
Displacement theory argues that removing the opportunity from crime or seeking to prevent crime by changing the situation does not actually prevent crime but moves it. In other words, it is the relocation of criminal activity as a result of law enforcement prevention efforts. Displacement theory is related to problem-oriented policing and situational crime prevention. There are 5 main ways to displace criminal activity. They include geographical moving locations of crime, moving from one time to another, temporal, directing away from target onto another, substituted method of crime committing for another, tactical, and one kind of crime substituted for another. An example of displacement theory would be strategically placing and increasing security at peak hours throughout the building internally and externally. Rational choice theory suggests that offenders make rational choices about when and where to commit crime. Research on break-and-enters presents a good illustration of how criminals make choices. Research has shown the thieves take into account a variety of factors that they consider in their offense planning, including the amount of cover available, lighting, types of locks, doors, and windows, the presence of alarms, and the possibility of being seen by neighbors and pedestrians. An example of rational choice theory is application to City Point would be someone weighing out the positives and negatives of breaking into someone's unit and then doing it. One of the assumptions surrounding the commission of a crime is that offenders make quick, uninformed decisions, therefore making them irrational. However, in reality, their decisions are based on pre-existing information, past experience, and general knowledge. Many offenders base their decisions on a costs and benefits analysis. They do not necessarily construct detailed plans for each and every offense. Rational choices and preconceived plans may be set into motion when the offender happens upon a situation or target that fits the general description of an appropriate target. And so whose responsibility is it in dealing with these issues of external and internal crime? Whose responsibility is it to maintain the exterior of the building, to maintain the neighborhood, or to maintain who actually lives in this building? Whose responsibility is it? Who's accountable? The RCMP? The mayor? Who's responsible for the space in and around at City Point? Within criminal activity threatening the residential and commercial areas at City Point, who is ultimately responsible for ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of individuals, as well as maintain the integrity of the building? In other words, who sets the tone and authority to dictate direction? Who has enough power to influence change and safety? It is the Strata Council members and board that ultimately make impactful decisions to address crime problems at City Point. BC Strata Council Board Number 3771 was first formed before occupancy at City Point. It is registered with the government and has bylaws and governance in place. Bylaws are regulated and enforced by the Strata Board. The board consists of 7 members or owners elected every year, including a reserved seat for the developer Century Group. These members take on roles including president, vice president, security, treasurer, and members at large. The number of Strata Council members is set out in the bylaws. The property management company, Barbican Property Management, also attends these meetings with 1 to 2 representatives. Meetings are held monthly with an annual general meeting, AGM, in September. Why focus on the Strata Council? Strata Council board members have an invested interest as they are owners at City Point. Furthermore, the board has a rate of responsibility and therefore can make influential decisions on behalf of the residents, other owners in the building, tenants, who reside in the building, and the general public who have access. In other words, they have the power and ability to make influential decisions that affect the residential, commercial, and outside building area. What does a role of strata entail? What exactly is it that strata does? In this case, their job is to govern over the buildings, aid in writing bylaws and enforcing them as such. As a result, strata council can employ initiatives that can help reduce and deter crime from happening within and around the building. They can employ a general deterrence strategy, which aims to have an impact on more than just the offender in question. The apprehension and punishment of one person is made to serve as an example to another potential offender, tenant or resident in the building. Tenants and residents are subject to bylaw fines for infractions. A list of bylaws are given to every unit in the building. As such, they are bound by these rules and regulations. Pressure can be placed on those who do not comply to the bylaws. In essence, with strong bylaws such as no Airbnb or short-term rentals, this can mitigate turnover into the building, restricting access from a transient group of people. BC condo owners who break the rules by allowing short-term rentals through sites like Airbnb could soon be slapped with fines of up to $1,000 per day by their strata corporations. Currently, stratas can pass bylaws banning short-term rentals with a maximum fine of $200 per week. In addition, the enforcement of other bylaws can place pressure on owners who receive multiple bylaw fines to adequately interview and vet their tenants. Strata must maintain a list of Form Ks. The Form K is a form set out in the Strata Property Act. This form must be signed by any person renting either a unit or a room in the unit in a strata development. It provides confirmation that the tenant has received a copy of the bylaws of the strata corporation and agrees to abide by them. In other words, it is a method to reiterate the bylaws that are in place and ensure the tenant is well informed of the rules and regulations. Every strata bylaw infraction is a maximum of $200, while a rule has a financial penalty of $50 per incident. A tenant who is breaking even one rule or bylaw a week will weigh on the pockets of owners. In addition to this, by knowing who occupies a unit in the building, there is knowledge of the individual. Form Ks act as a control measure to who is living there and who is not.
In order to mitigate the issues related to the exterior forces that jeopardize the security of City Point, the strata can employ a modified version of crime prevention through environmental design, or otherwise known as CEP10. CEP10 relies almost exclusively upon change to the physical environment that will cause an offender to alter certain behavioral decisions to commit crime. They are more properly to deter rather than prevent behavior. The 5 common principles the Strata Council utilize are surveillance, access control, target hardening, maintenance, and activity support / motivational reinforcement. Surveillance is any action that increases the chance that offenders will be observed. Natural surveillance is where residents and legitimate users have the ability to see and observe what is taking place around them without taking special measures, also called informal surveillance. Ideally, the businesses on the main floor help create natural surveillance. The coffee shops open at 7 a.m. and the pizza place closes down at 11:30 at night. This provides 17 and a half hours a day where employees and clients are coming and going and would help with natural surveillance. Strata at City Point utilizes formal surveillance by hiring a full-time security guard and a caretaker. The income from the first level public parking covers the cost of the security and caretaker. The caretaker and security guard are actively watching, deterring, offending. And lastly, mechanical surveillance utilizes cameras in the security guard, where the security guard pulls pictures for bylaw infractions and other related crime-related incidences from outside the building by observing the cameras to see if unwanted and unsavory people enter the parkade and building. Every entry door, storage locker, and ramp for the building has a camera. It would help to add signs, as the cameras are difficult to notice on the exterior of the building. Access control seeks to allow only those persons who have a legitimate business in an area to enter. It reduces opportunity for crime by increasing the effort needed to enter and exit a building, or area controlling access and egress to areas limited in its permeability. ensuring only those permitted and authorized to have a fob so they can enter the storage locker, resident parkade, and building will deter crime and limit victimization. Adding a sign at the door permitting only authorized users could also seek to mitigate this issue, to remind residents to not let anyone in without their authorized fob. Target hardening efforts are those that make potential criminal targets more difficult to victimize. Every door at City Point has a piece of metal that blocks the deadbolt from being manipulated. It was noticed that the 11 fire extinguishers have gone missing from the public parkade area of the underground parking. The fire extinguishers were placed on a hook on the wall. The fire extinguishers are a perfect item that can be utilized to break windows for theft of from auto, and to damage property, not to mention the theft of the fire extinguisher. They are suitable targets from a routine activities and crime pattern perspective. Adding a secure case with a plastic exterior that can house a fire extinguisher can add one layer of deterrence for possible offenders. In addition, it is a code violation to not have a fire extinguisher every 50 feet in a parkade. Therefore, this is a mandatory fix. The fence surrounding the courtyard and building helps deter offenders wandering into residential area. The fence also has territoriality, where the purpose of this principle is to create a clear distinction between public and private property. This is important for two reasons. Legitimate occupants have a sense of ownership and will notice and even challenge people who do not belong. Intruders, on the other hand, have a harder time blending in. Someone who tries to enter the building by walking behind you through the door or tailgates you into the resident parkade can be challenged, as they are attempting to pass the threshold between public and private. Asking if they have their fob is a minor means to ensure that they belong. Adding signs indicating only authorized persons may enter could mitigate these issues. Maintenance is related to territorial reinforcement. As well, a well-maintained area sends a message that people notice and care about what happens in an area. This in turn discourages vandalism and other crimes. Security practitioners return to the broken windows theory, the idea that one broken window will entice vandals to break another. A vandalized area then becomes more inviting to higher levels of crime. A property should be well maintained as a matter of safety as well as pride. Strata councils maintain a budget and have allocated monies for landscaping where they can cut bushes and shrubs down to a height of 4 feet to allow for natural surveillance and to cut the grass and maintain the landscape. Those who care for the property lessen the likelihood of victimization. One area of concern at City Point are the garbage cans on the exterior of the main level, where the businesses exist. They are concrete garbage cans with a locking system on the side, yet the locks appear to have gone missing. They were overflowing with garbage and poorly maintained. This, as a result, does not create a perspective of a well-taken-care building and attracts unsavory people to sift through them for bottles and cans. It would be highly recommended to remove the garbage cans altogether and inform the businesses to place accessible garbage cans for the patrons within the vicinity of the premises. Strata Council can employ the five strategies as SEPTED, yet it would be the utmost importance to focus on this last principle. Activity support or motivational reinforcement. This principle relates to the building of a community atmosphere to involve encouraging law-abiding use of the community and area. This ability to recognize neighbors and identify needs of the community should enhance social cohesion among residents and contribute to a communal atmosphere that works to eliminate crime and other common problems. The Strata Council can generate social events by directly recruiting residents for anti-crime activities or societal community issues. Depending on what the tenants or residents value, the meeting, billiard, and movie rooms can be utilized cost-free for any residents looking to host a monthly social gathering for the building. Board game nights, movie nights, billiard challenges, evenings, and even barbecues in the back patio in the summer. In addition, the building has a variety of businesses who offer food on the main floor. The Strata Council could partner with and build relationships with some of these food businesses to receive a discount, sushi, or pizza, and thereby host parties once a month. In order to deter crime and minimize the possibility of victimization, it is absolutely imperative for those living at City Point to know your neighbor. In essence, knowing your neighbor creates community, encourages residents and tenants alike to respect and take ownership of where they reside, and willingness to challenge those who attempt to gain access to the building without appropriate authorization. People tend to follow rules, bylaws, when they know the people it affects. A tenant with a dog will clean up their dog poo from the communal area if they have a relationship with other people in the community.
Lastly, what's the cost-benefit analysis to all of this? Well, the cost can be quite high in order for crime prevention. Crime prevention is only so good if you have the people on board. Strata needs to be on board. The residents need to be on board. The first floor public parkade tends to yield the greatest risk of crime. The easiest method to reduce the crime in the area, but with the greatest cost, would be to close the parkade to the public. But then you're not yielding the significant amount of income that you could get, which in turn pays for your caretaker, pays for your security, pays for upgrades on cameras, pays for the maintenance on cameras, pays for the maintenance around the building. Without these concepts and without that income, you're not going to be able to maintain that. In addition, you may not be able to close that because there are commercial businesses on the first floor, and therefore you lose commercial business income. This is not the answer. In order to adequately determine the differentiating costs, one needs to determine the costs of the initiative, calculate the benefit, compare alternatives, and thus report on the action. In order to evaluate the cost and benefit of Strata's initiatives, it is important to reassess and follow up to determine the effectiveness. The Strata will conduct assessments at the 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month mark. In addition, if any concerns are pressing or new business results, Strata meets monthly and can act accordingly to rectify issues. In addition to this, each Strata Council board member receives daily emails with security reports and operations. The focus to determine cost benefits for these initiatives will be the following. Surveillance. The current income for the first level pay parkade pays for the 24 hours a day, round-the-clock security guard and for maintenance of all cameras. The concern would be to assess if break-ins occur, when and determining if security need to adjust their security check times to adequately deal with problems at peak crime times. The benefit of reassessment will reassure security or focusing in on areas of concern be seen, thus deterring motivated and opportunistic offenders since a capable guardian is present. Access control. Fob readers are currently installed at all doors, including the fitness, meeting room, residential parkade, and vehicle resident gates. No new fobs need to be installed at this time. Target hardening. The secure fire extinguisher cases with clear plastic that can be broken average $70. The Strata will need to add 11 in the parkade and replace the 11 missing extinguishers worth $60 each. The upfront cost to purchase new extinguishers, the secure cases, and installation fee will be approximately $180. The total fee of all 11 units, including call-out, will average $2,000. The Strata Council will assess at each evaluation period to determine if they are still present and if they have been stolen. The upfront cost is expensive, but is a benefit when there is no need to replace $60 fire extinguishers once a year during fire inspection and if the fire department cites a code violation. Territoriality. Currently, the courtyard has a secure gated area and offers a very specific understanding of public-private area. The parkade is still a concern as it's a blended area of private and public. The increased security presence should assist with unsavory characters entering non-public areas. Maintenance. The current fiscal budget covers landscaping and garbage removal. Ideally, the garbage cans would be provided locks, which cost $20 for the two, yet removing them would completely remove concerns of unsightly views, which could increase the risk of offenders in the area. These two garbage cans are very heavy, therefore a crane would be required to move them. In the long run, garbage would be a concern, yet I believe if all the businesses have a garbage can at their exit door, this could solve garbage issues and lessen access for non-client individuals. It should be noted, if the fence is vandalized, it would need to be fixed immediately, along with locks, fobs, and cameras. Activity support motivational reinforcement. There is no harm in creating monthly social gatherings for residents and tenants alike. This creates a sense of belonging and community. Utilizing communal rooms free of charge will lessen costs per event. This would be a voluntary role in the Strata to organize these events. Residents committed to attending could offer a small fee if food from one of the businesses was offered. The benefit of gathering is it creates natural surveillance and thus deters crime. In conclusion, we choose to target the crime problem of increased criminal activity presented at City Point Towers, located at 10777 University Drive in the Whalley neighborhood of Surrey. This video project address a crime problem through statistics and the application of course concepts presented in our class. CRIM 4201, Community Safety and Crime Prevention. An explanation, discussion, and application of theories included crime pattern and routine activities theory, displacement theory, deterrence and rational choice theory, broken windows theory, and crime prevention through environmental design, or CPTED. A cost-benefits analysis and steps to address the problem is discussed. Overall, strata councils can reduce and deter crime. Often, it takes a motivated group of people, a problem, and the resources to act upon it.